Hello, beautiful creatures of the world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It is a beautiful mid-morning summer day here in the far north of Maine, up along the Canadian border in the Crown of Maine. I hope everyone is having a nice, warm, sunny summer day wherever you may be. I hope you're having a day filled with fabulosity and good coffee. Good coffee makes all the difference in the world. I look like trash today. It's just one of those things. I have been up since 3:30 in the morning. As I get older, I cannot sleep around the moon cycles. And the Lionsgate portal will be opening up very, very shortly. And of course, with all the energy floating around the universe, it just makes it impossible to sleep. So I got up really early this morning and I took a couple laps around my little homestead in the dark, grabbed my handy dandy bear spray and a flashlight, and we just kind of going around the property. And then at 7 a.m., I was out running the ATV trail at 7 a.m. And now I'm just exhausted. But I've got news to bring you guys. So here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, all kidding aside, there is a very important memorandum that came from Joe Biden this week. And nobody but Glenn Beck, where I got my information, is talking about it. It is super significant. It has never been done before. Nobody in legacy media is going to talk about it, but we know that because they're all in love with Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, Harris. They are all obsessed with the fact that Donald Trump's people froze Kamala, whatever the hell her name is, Harris's campaign funds. Anyways, I digress. It just makes me so happy that the Trump people are just starting to use lawfare. The same type of lawfare that was used against them, they're starting to use the lawfare. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's been a saying since I grew up. You hit your brother, he hits your back, that's your problem. And you learn that way, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, what has been happening is not being reported on the alternative conservative podcasts, news outlets. Nobody's talking about this. It's absolutely wild what has happened. They're all trying to figure out the shooter's motive. They're all trying to figure out the nonsense with the Secret Service. They're all obsessed with, was it a green screen? Was Joe Biden's appearance pre-recorded? And here we have a piece of information that absolutely no one except Glenn Beck is actually talking about. 3 or 4 days ago, Joe Biden released a memorandum on the delegation of certain functions and authorities. Memorandum for Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, delegated certain functions and authorities under the Rebuilding of the Economic Prosperity and Opportunities for a Ukrainians Act by authority vested in me, Joe Biden, as president, and by the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, Section 301, blah, blah, blah. I hereby order as follows. Section 1. I delegate to the Secretary of Treasury the functions and authorities vested in the President. I also hereby delegated the Secretary of State in consultation with the Secretary of Treasury the functions and authorities vested in the President by sections, yada, yada, yada. We ain't going through all them damn numbers. What does this mean? It means that the President of the United States of America is divesting his constitutional presidential duties to other officers, members of his cabinet, and it has never been done before. In other words, this is something that needs to be done, and I am incapable, can't, for whatever reason, do it. So you guys get it done for me. This is a very big deal when the President of the United States starts delegating starts giving away his duties to other members of his cabinet, ladies and gentlemen, we're in serious doo-doo. The man cannot function. It's very, very clear. We all watched that speech that he gave the other day. It was horrendous. He looked somewhere else. He didn't look there. He absolutely didn't look there. It was a better speech than he has given in the past. There was not a lot of fumbles, but there was some fumbles, which makes, alternative media, that's the big thing now in the alternative media thing. Was it pre-recorded? Was he green screened? Is he actually at his home? Or was he at the White House? Who the hell knows? Because it's all smoke and mirrors and it's all games. The other thing that a lot of people are not talking about, and for my conservative listeners, which is just about everybody that's subscribed to my channel, the thing we have to keep in the forefront of our mind, not only is the president divesting his duties to other members of his cabinet, we have to remember that what the Democrat Party is doing is taking away a candidate that people actually wanted to vote for. They had no primaries. They were going to run their guy, and then they took that choice away like that. They made the decision for whom the Democrats in this country are going to vote for, and that is not right. We all had our choice. On the Republican side, we had an actual primary. There were several people that ran against Donald Trump. We actually in Maine fought to keep Donald Trump on the ballot because Shayna Bellows, our Secretary of State, tried to remove him from the ballot and take away our choice. She's a Democrat too. They're prone to this nonsense. And that is a big deal when a party says, no, we don't want to run you no more. We're going to run this person. And although Kamala Harris was kind of picked by default, so there'd be no real big ruckus, the DNC, which is coming up in a few weeks in August, the delegates, the super delegates on the floor, can take her off the campaign trail too and install who they want. And once again, no primary. No Democratic primary, which means the people of this country have no choice on the figurehead who is going to run on the Democratic ticket for President of the United States of America. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, we are being run like communist Russia. We are being run like they do behind the Iron Curtain, when the people want a person to run and the government literally, the party literally just picks who is going to run. And they take the candidate that the people wanted to run out of the race. And this is how things are done in communist countries. And quite frankly, it's not a good thing. My great-grandparents came from communist Poland. They came here in the late 1800s, early 1900s, to be free, to have choice, to have a better life. They came in through Ellis Island. They had to be sponsored. They had to be upstanding citizens in their community. They had to report weekly to the police station so that the police could keep a track of them. My grandmother was the first American born in our family on my father's side of the family. She was born in 1914, and it was a big deal. It was a big deal. My entire life growing up was a big deal. My great-grandparents' trauma of living in the old country followed them to this country. Some of those fears and traumas were instilled in my grandmother's upbringing. And in my father's upbringing and in my upbringing on what would happen if this country actually turned authoritarian, totalitarianism, communist. And it was really a big deal for my grandmother to warn us of the things that her parents endured back in the old country, and to tell us always, remind us always, that just because you were born under the red, white, and blue, just because you were born in the freest country in the world, doesn't mean it will always be so. So she had a few traumas she passed on to us, and it's helped us very early on in the pace of what has been happening for many, many, many years. This is not just 2020 happened and everything fell apart. This is over 50 years in the making, what is going on right now in this country. And it helped for me and my siblings to be able to identify very early on the leanings of authoritarianism, the whispers of Marxism in our country very early on. So even in the freest country in the world, when they start really messing around with the way you vote, and they start installing candidates instead of allowing the members of their party, the little people, the citizens of the United States, actually vote for whom they want to run as president, the balance has shifted, and so many people in this country do not even realize it. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, I wish for you a great day. Go outside, get some sunshine, feel your mood elevate, kind of get out of the news cycle a little bit if you can. Take this bit of information and start talking about it if you want to, because it's very important that people should know not only was Joe Biden taken out of the presidential race, and that position was gifted to another candidate that nobody seems to want, and it can be gifted once again from her to another candidate at the DNC. There are going to be a lot of shenanigans going on. So not only is that going on, but President Biden is giving away his constitutional presidential duties to members of his cabinet. He has not really made an effort to be seen functioning in public. And I think that maybe the 25th Amendment really should be enacted at this point. At least we would have a more clear view to assess the dangers coming our way. These are historic times. These are exciting times that we live in. These are interesting times that we live in, but they are also very dangerous time for me, for you, for my family, for your family. And we really do need to start paying attention, and we need to start making sure that when we go grocery shopping, we grab 5 extra cans of something, dump them in the shopping cart, and put them on the pantry shelf. Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful creatures of the world, thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. And Carpe Diem, seize your day, because no one promised you a tomorrow.